What do you want to become when you grow up? Asked my father. Daddy, I want to work in a bank so that I may give you lots of money so that you buy us clothes and other stuff. I replied him, that was the dream of a 7-year-old daddy's girl. I am Susan Kigula, a former death row inmate with a story to tell. No one could imagine the agony, the pain, the despair that I felt when the arresting police officer came to arrest me and took me away from my 1-year-old daughter. As the baby reached out with her tiny hands, crying out, "Mama, Mama." My dad was taking her away from me as well. It was such a horrible scene, a terrifying moment that I don't wish any mother to ever experience in life, ever. That was how I was separated from my 1-year-old daughter for 16 years for a crime I did not commit. When I was still under the protection of my parents, I never knew that one day I'll be on my own, battling dangers that were beyond my control. I was 21 years old when I was taken to prison. I was in a cohabiting relationship with the father of my daughter. We loved each other so much. We went places together. People teased us that we were twins. No one would ever think of hurting one another. We loved each other. We were not rich, but we were happy because we had each other. We were a young family striving to live a happy life until that fateful day when cruel people took his life away from me and left me at such a young age with a baby. One night that can never, ever leave my memory. My husband came back from work. I welcomed him at my shop. We went home together. We had dinner together. We were happy. Our household was small. It comprised of me, him, the maid, my 3-year-old stepson then, my 6-year-old stepdaughter then. That was it. We were renting a 2-roomed house, which consisted of a bedroom and a sitting room. In the wee hours of the night, as we slept, what woke me up was a bang at the back of my neck. I woke up. I didn't know what had happened to me, but what I remember, I realized that a warm, sticky fluid was flowing from the back of my neck. It was blood. I had been severely cut at the back of my neck. I looked for him around as I was making an alarm. I could not see him because it was dark in the bedroom. Immediately, I realized there was a glimpse of light coming from the outside security bulb light. I saw him lying down, groaning. I could not help him. I could not help myself. I ran out. I called the neighbors. They were looking at us from their windows. They were afraid of being attacked as well. I ran a distance of 20 yards, and that's where those neighbors helped me because I fell down and I was half conscious. They rushed me to Mulago Hospital, where I was treated, stitched. Yeah. I never knew that I had lost him until when we were coming out of the hospital, because his relatives came and convinced the doctor that they are going to take care of me in a private setup, and the doctor allowed it, which he would not have allowed. And that's when I heard on the news from the radio of the car, and they were announcing Susan Kigula is dead and her husband are dead. I asked, who took these announcements before even finding out about my condition? And you had even told me that he is okay in another ward. They all denied. I called my family and they came and gave me their support. 3 days after the burial, the police officer came to arrest me, that I am the prime suspect for the murder of the man I loved. I was still very ill, very sick, because I had a deeper wound at the back of my neck, and the police allowed me to be treated from the police station, taken to a private hospital by my father, until after 2 months, when I was well and was produced in court for mention and sent to Luzira prison. I stayed 2 years on remand, and then I was produced in the High Court for trial. I was crying. I knew I was innocent. I was very sure I would get justice. Even if the media painted me a murderer, even if everyone called me a manslaughter, a killer, I knew in my heart, my conscience was clear. I knew in my heart I've never been a criminal. I'll never be a criminal, and I'm not a criminal. The evidence that was produced in court against me was very well planned. They said that evidence of a child is more credible than evidence of an adult. So my accusers capitalized on that fact and coached and trained my then 3-year-old stepson, who was by this time 5 years, to say that he cut me that fateful night, in those wee hours of the night, cutting his father. I don't blame him. He's a child. The judge found me guilty and said, Susan, I sentence you to suffer death by hanging. That was my verdict. My innocence was not hurt. When I reached on death row, in my anguish, my desperation, asking God, are you there? How can you allow such an injustice to take place? I found ladies on death row. I was not alone. They were crying, desperate, hopeless, helpless, crying for their children. Oh, children, the plight of every dying mother. What would happen to us? The authorities elected me to be the leader of the condemned section. I was the youngest then. I said, if we are to do something about our situation, we need to rise up from the anguish that we felt. The ladies narrated that some of them had not even understood their court proceedings because they did not understand English. And the interpreters in the court were not very accurate. And even if they would be, because it was for the first time for all of us to stand in the dock before a judge, communication to an already shaken up inmate was made ineffective. I encouraged myself in the Lord Jesus Christ. I decided to get up. I took up various activities. I embraced what came my way, the gift of life that God gave me every day. And then I encouraged my fellow inmates, and I told them it's not all lost. We can do something about ourselves. We didn't have a school. There was this informal education, but we needed to study. We were still young. We needed a future. What to do? With support from the Uganda Prison Service, I started a school in prison where I taught history, Christianity, and English. And then right now, I'm happy to announce that the school is still running. The Uganda Prison Service has taken over. The government has taken over. Many inmates have gone through that school. Others have joined universities out. Those who are still in prison have been given the opportunity to study law by African Prisons Project from the University of London. What made me take control over myself when I was in prison, more or less on death row? First of all, I decided to forgive those who took me to prison. You don't forgive because one has asked you for it. You forgive for the sake of your peace. And after forgiving them, I took advantage of the opportunities that were brought in prison. I was involved in sports, doing netball. I was the leader in the choir and the leader in the church. This helped me to nourish myself, to nourish my soul and those of my fellow inmates as well. This helped us also to cultivate a very wonderful relationship with the staff and amongst ourselves. This brought about good interactions where we shared so many things. After we encouraged ourselves and we were going through the school, I had not done my A-level. I was in prison after I dropped out of O-level. So I embarked on studying in that very school. I was a student as well as a teacher. And then, finally, I graduated from that high school with 18 points, which are marvelous grades in Uganda. And I was among the best in the country. But now what? It was jubilation fine. I had done it. Triumphant moments had begun now. Well, yeah, the media for the first time spoke good things about me. That's when, in my desperation for a university, Alexander McLean, director of African Prison Project, whom I had met years back in 2005, when he had come to refurbish the sick bed, the death row section, and the library, he offered me to study law from the University of London. I was like, me? Study law? You must be crazy. I hate law with all my guts. This law called this injustice justice. I don't want to study law. He told me, Susan, I know you have faced injustices, so do others. But if you study law, you may be able to help others in this country and outside of this country. I said, me? Me alone? No way. Get me another course anyway. He told me, yes. It can start with you. Those words changed my life forever. I embarked on a challenging journey of studying law from the University of London. I was the only female student. We had no classes. Of course, we were not prepared for the studies. I was studying under a tree. I weathered the sun, I weathered the rain, I weathered the wind. My fellow inmates didn't understand, and some of the staff at the lower stages, why would you, a death row inmate, study law? After 2 years, I graduated from the University of London with a diploma in the common law. It wasn't easy, but it was because of the determination, the commitment, the perseverance, and hard work that I put in, because I had set a goal to change my life for better. After that, I embarked to study for a degree, and then right now I'm here to proudly announce to you that I've graduated with a law degree from the University of London. This is the same university that Nelson Mandela graduated from, so we share the same alumni. Hey. Yeah, I'm now a lawyer. I went to prison a nobody, and I came out a lawyer. When I was on death row, inmates on death row petitioned the Constitutional Courts of Uganda, Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, European Union, Katende Sempewa and Company Advocates helped in spearheading the case, a case famously known as Susan Kigula and 417 others, and in that case, I was the lead petitioner. We were contesting against the constitutionality of the death penalty, the manner in which it was carried out through hanging, and the constitutionality of mandatory death sentences, among others. We are proud to tell you that after 7 years of a long wait of the petition going through various courts, in 2009, the Constitutional Supreme Court held that mandatory death sentences in Uganda were unconstitutional and were abolished. That meant that all of us, the petitioners, 417 who were sentenced under mandatory death sentences, were referred back to the High Courts for mitigation, and others who had exhausted their sentences were released. So that's where I got my freedom. After my death sentence being commuted to 20 years, the Uganda Prison Service gave me remission because of my good conduct, and also because of the years that I had served. I was released in January 2016. What I want to tell you is what I've been up to since I was released from prison. I work with African Prison Project as an ambassador representing us internationally. I'm a human rights activist. I have continued in the abolition of the death penalty campaigns all over the world, and I am advocating for the rights of men, women, and children in prisons. What do I want the people to learn from us? I want the people to know that I'm the voice of the voiceless. I want people to know out there that prisoners can change if they are given an opportunity. I want people to learn that we can bring a change where people think a change cannot happen. I want to change the negative perspective of people, of what they have about prisoners. Prisoners are human beings who can err like anyone else, but who can change for the better. I want people to know that we don't need the death penalty in our country. Had I been executed, I would not be here sharing my story with you. Here we ask a question: may the state kill its own citizens? Okay, what about its dignity? Can it be compromised by the foolishness of an offender? How about the innocent ones? If truth comes that they did not commit their crimes and they already executed, you can get someone out of prison, but you can never get anyone out of the grave. Thank you.
Big round of applause to my sister, Susan. Thank you.